that her dad took care of them when it changed into with Shanquility, who their dad and mom are well before you move permit me meet the figure let me meet those folks yeah justice. Maybe served Justin, maybe served it's gonna be served, I'll let God do what he got to do. But I inform you this, they would not they may be now not gonna escape. They are now not going to escape the Cabo 6, have managed to keep away from justice. For some time now, however, they may be virtually shaking in their boots, now that Shanquella Robinson's father Bernard has stated some things on the way to ship shivers down their spines. How will the case continue now? Allow me inform you proper now, the new trends in this example will go away you stunned she grown however, nevertheless at the identical time. I'm her protector tragic news emerged earlier this week as the FBI determined no longer to pursue expenses in the case. Sure this is right, they actually determined they failed to need to pursue the case anymore. Shanquella Robinson's father Bernard Robinson spoke to the clique for the first time in months about his daughters. And well-timed passing, as we said formerly, the 25-year-old Charlotte resident lost her life in October 2022 after being brutally attacked on Digicam by way of one in every of her buddies whilst on vacation in Cabo, Mexico. That's not her, you know. She did now not conform to fight, you know. She was going over there enjoy somebody birthday. When a day Bernard spoke in a stable tone about his unhappiness with federal prosecutors' decision no longer to record criminal fees in Shanquella's case, he expressed the hope that justice could be served pronouncing she will be at peace as soon as America Department otherwise involved the higher USAGOT to do something with this case to make it appear that she can be at peace. Bernard stated this about the KO6 walking away. After killing Shanquella, why y'all up and left her like that? Because you'll have stayed this father proper right here. Might have made sure y'all got returned to the U.S. Bernard spoke at Shanquella's grave webpage at Beatisford Memorial Gardens, in which her family had engraved the nickname Boss Female on her headstone. Bernard stated about the grave. This is a hyperlink to a movie star quote. To use over the narration, this was Shanquella, so the dad and mom need to convey their kids up here and stand proper right here and communicate to her they are able to they can acra. Every day, it's a struggle for me a little beneath a couple of weeks in the past, the Department of Justice informed the circle of relatives that after careful deliberation, they've decided now not to pursue costs because of insufficient evidence based at the results of the autopsy. And after a careful deliberation and evaluation of the investigative materials, by means of each U.S. attorney's places of work, federal prosecutors, knowledgeable and Robinson's circle of relatives, nowadays that the available evidence does no longer guide a federal prosecution. The assertion examine what they certainly imply to mention is that in spite of hoax for justice, it appears that evidently the truth that the crime took place in Mexico posed insurmountable obstacles. There is an excessive amount of they can't deliver all of the witnesses, they cannot carry all the information, the constraints of prosecuting a crime dedicated overseas became increasingly clean as an instance. If some French people came to the USA and devoted a crime they could be punished here, the French cannot say convey them and could punish them in France. Even as it may seem easy to pray for cooperation, the fact is tons extra complicated. As Bernard struggled to come back to terms along with his loss, he expressed his frustration with the state of affairs, pronouncing, "I'm annoyed approximately it to the maximum. Y'all placed a hole in this father's heart. Right here, positive enough halves. I do not know if God going so that it will mend it their lifestyles is moving alongside walking round right here, like they revel in existence. But this father is struggling each day. However, all 6 people don't have any decency to name up, no matter the news Robinson's own family and their attorney Sued Robinson remain undeterred at an information conference. Sean Robinson expressed sadness with the choice, however said that her crew have been in communique with FBI officials and found out from them that there have been discrepancies among the Mexican and American autopsies. Prosecutors also cited that they labored with the own family to conduct an autopsy in the States by using the medical expert's office in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. The postmortem executed by way of county officers contradicted Mexican government file revealing that her backbone became intact and that her reason of demise became undetermined, the VBTV stated. I would really like to recognize how many years in joy he had in doing an autopsy on a body, Bernard Robinson said approximately the Hall, and that's now not the most effective vital piece of this puzzle he desires to be solved. There is nonetheless no phrase whether Mexico will extradite one of the 5 others on that journey. Ends Robinson's father, Bernard Robinson, had previously recognized his daughter in a video that seemed to expose her being overwhelmed through every other lady talking to the New York Times last year. He stated she's no longer a fighter she didn't agree with in dry drama. She wasn't raised like that swan, delivered that if Miss Robinson's dying have been taken extreme from the very beginning in postmortem and research, expedited via U.S. officials. There might not were discrepancies among the autopsies of both nations, because it became the demise of a young, black, beautiful, terrific, educated lady who turned into on excursion. She stated justice was delayed, however. All isn't always lost, but due to the fact in line with Bernard Robinson. The case is still open right now. There is only a loss of proof, however, in the end. God may want to do something in which there is going to be evidence. It's coming. It's simply the amount of time remaining here. The state attorney general's workplace in Baja California, sir, announced that they were in search of to extradite a lady assailant who changed into suspected to be the possibly responsible man or woman inside the loss of life of Shanquella Robinson, a 25-year-old female from Charlotte, NC. And research found out that Robinson's death became an immediate assault, not an accident. But it's doubtful how those findings had been included into the FBI's research on Robinson. The legal professional representing Shanquella Robinson's own family shared that the FBI had interviewed Robinson's tour companions and different folks who had stayed inside the Fundadores Beach Club place in San Jose del Cabo. Additionally, the Charlotte Observer acquired a police record that distinctive a medical doctor's visit to the Holiday Hall, where Robinson was staying after someone called for clinical help at 2:13 p.m. on October 29th. The record said that the health practitioner discovered Robinson with stable essential signs and symptoms, but dehydrated, unable to talk, and appearing to be inebriated. The health practitioner suggested that Robinson be taken to a hospital. However, her pals insisted that she be treated at the house after the medical doctor unsuccessfully tried to present Robinson an intravenous line. She started to have a seizure in an ambulance, became known as Robinson, turned into suggested useless at 5:57 p.m. Despite the setback, Brown's circle of relatives and attorneys stay hopeful that justice might be served in Mexico, where prosecutors have issued arrest warrants within the case and are willing to pursue prices. We strongly encourage the USA to transport forward with the extradition of those responsible for her demise to Mexico to stand responsibility. There, the statement persevered. The own family's lawyers also criticized the FBI for what they see as a loss of attempt in investigating Brown's case, specifically compared to the assets deployed within the case of 4 Americans who were kidnapped in Mexico in March. There seems to be no interest on behalf of Shanquella Crump, informed Yahoo News. Final month further to calling for extradition and justice in Mexico. The circle of relatives and their attorneys have additionally known as for diplomatic intervention by President Biden and the U.S. Department of State. The letter sent to White House officials study my clients recognize that the U.S. government has many priorities and obligations. However, accept as true, without intervening in this example, might now not only serve the interests of justice, but additionally send a clear message that transnational crook activities will now not be tolerated. Mexican prosecutors had issued an arrest warrant in connection to Shanquella's demise in November 2022. Prosecutors had announced that the warrant was for one in every of Robinson's buddies, despite the fact that the character had not been identified in step with WBTV prosecutors. had additionally stated they had been looking to extradite the suspect to face the charges in Mexico, and Robinson's death became being investigated as a capability homicide. Robin, seeing that France had believed the death on alcohol poisoning, in keeping with her mother in past, due October 2022. Robinson, the proprietor of hair braiding business Exquisite Infants, had traveled to Mexico with her pals for a celebration all through the holiday. The group stayed in a luxurious villa they booked through Cabo Villas. Nearby news have pronounced that Robinson's pals had referred to as her mother Salamander Robinson, and informed her that something had passed off to her daughter. They stated she wasn't feeling nicely. She had alcohol poisoning. Salamander Robinson had informed WeSee they could not get a pulse every one of the humans.